Hello everyone and welcome to another entry in the Best of the Multiverse series. This episode's colour combination was voted for by our fantastic patrons. If you would like to join in on future polls, you might consider becoming a patron yourself. With that, enjoy. Don't just have an idea, have them all. Welcome back to Affinity for Commander, where today we're counting down the top 5 Izzet commanders. As always, we're following the usual criteria, and as always, no partner commanders. This is because they change the nature of the deck by adding different colours and strategies to it. Now, on to the list. Number 5. The literal only reason I can think of why this card even exists is that a bereft Izzet player slumped into Wizards one day and was just so sad about only drawing 6 cards a turn. So OG Rosewater himself designed this card on the back of a scrumbled up napkin on the spot to stop him from bumming out the rest of the company. It's Arjun, the Shifting Flame. I mean seriously, this card gets me to do that dog head tilt thing every single time I see or read it. For 4 generic mana, 1 red and 1 blue, Arjun the Shifting Flame is a 5/5 legendary creature Sphinx wizard with flying. He reads, whenever you cast a spell, put the cards in your hand on the bottom of your library in any order, then draw that many cards. Whilst researching for this video, I was super confused about this card. I kept thinking, why is it so popular? What does he even do? He seems super clunky. What cards even go in this deck? Oh. Right, got it. The ultimate wheel commander you are, Arjun, I'll give you that. Working around this ability to consistently be drawing upwards of 21 cards a turn can easily deck someone out with cards like Sphinx's Tutelage, Psychic Corrosion, or Jace's Erasure in play. Or Urza Forbid if you have any of these out in combination together. Or what about Storm? Storm is fun, right guys? Guys, oh okay. Okay, but I need to talk about it anyway, because this seems like one of the other viable frameworks for Arjun. Play really low cost spells like Brainstorm, Ponder, and Serum Visions to be constantly refilling your hand and wheeling through your deck. This guy actually makes long-term plans essentially a straight shooter. And then we can Past in Flames to do it all over again. I mean, yes, it is just Modern Storm. But if I remember correctly, that's still pretty good. And then we will inevitably plonk down our Aetherflux Reservoir or Sentinel Tower. Remember, we're drawing pretty much our entire deck every turn. And then whoops, that's a game folks. Number 4. Now, one thing everyone knows about Magic the Gathering, especially in Commander, is Jace the Mind Sculptor is super bad. But also, it's that blue and red aren't great at ramping. So how about, instead, we just suspend our massive spells and then cast them for free with our number 4 spot, Jorah of the Gitu. Our near immortal captain costs 1 generic mana, 1 red and 1 blue for a 2/2 legendary human wizard with 2 generic mana, exile a non-land card from your hand, put 4 time counters on the exiled card. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. And just a brief reminder for those that don't know, Suspend reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter from that card. When the last counter is removed, cast it without paying its mana cost. If it's a creature, it gains haste. These commanders don't have a great amount of ramp built into them, just as a matter of fact. And that's why Jorah is so good. Being able to cheat out big spells for free can get you so far ahead much earlier in the game than the rest of the table. Huge spells like Expropriate or Omniscience coming out for nearly free is so great, especially if you need to keep up more mana to keep your spells safe. Normally you'd have to wait for an opportune moment. Not with Jorah, all your mana is still at your disposal. And just because she's Izzet doesn't mean we have to constrict ourselves to non-creature spells. How would you like a 2-mana Jin-Kataxis, Consecrated Sphinx or Etali Primal Storm? But I just feel like we're missing something. What other massive creatures could we possibly put in blue and red that would be great to come in with haste? Oh, hey guys, I thought it got very Lovecraftian in here all of a sudden. Yes, cheating out Eldrazi is still very solid. In related news, the sky is still blue, the grass is still green, and Urza still did nothing wrong. And I'm sure I'd be berated in the comments section for not mentioning the number of decks that use Jorah as one of the ultimate turns commanders. Being able to cast a Beacon of Tomorrow's Time Warp and Time Stretch for next to no mana can push you so far ahead in a game because you get to use all of your mana right now, using it to cast your sorcery speed goodness like cloning effects or mana rocks, and then untap to have another full turn in which you can utilize all of them. So, in summary, big scary spells, extra turn, cheap CMC, good. Good enough for the number 4 spot at least. Number 3. Our next spot is definitely the most generous on this list. No one gets left out of the table while this guy is around. Because you get a locust, you get a locust, you get a locust, you're all getting locusts. The Locust God is a 4/4 flying legendary creature for 4 generic mana, 1 red and 1 blue, with whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. And 2 generic mana, 1 blue and 1 red, draw a card, then discard a card. As well as the usual Amonkhet God clause, whenever the Locust God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Now I'd be remiss if I didn't state the same thing I did for the Scarab God in the previous episode, but yes, once you have this Locust boy down once, that's it. Beyond exiling effects, you'll never have to pay commander tax. With that out of the way, let me just put this out there. If Arjun is the king of wheel decks, our number 3 slot is the god. Pun intended. Our commander now gives all our draw effects new lines of text to create 1/1 flyers. With haste. Windfall, Pull from Tomorrow, Treasure Cruise, all of these now create Locust tokens. This is probably the widest you'll ever see Izzet go. This leads on to the great sub-theme of the deck, Locust Tribal. I know, who'd have thought? Kindred Discovery and Distant Melody both will help us draw so many cards, which in turn will create more and more Locusts. And then one well-timed coat of arms is one very way to quickly swarm all over the other players. Eating their crops, destroying their livelihoods, winning the game. I mean winning the game, of course, yes. Got carried away there a bit. Number 2. Do you know what's really, really powerful? Combo is powerful. Being able to say, I win the game now is, as it turns out, really helpful to, well, win the game. And having a 2-card combo, with one of those pieces being in your command zone, essentially making it a 1-card combo, that is just too good to ignore. And if you haven't already worked it out because your playgroup is very nice, my number 2 spot is Niv-Mizzet the Firemind. Our Draconic Guildmaster costs 2 generic mana, 2 blue and 2 red, for a 4/4 flying legendary dragon wizard with, whenever you draw a card, Niv-Mizzet the Firemind deals 1 damage to any target, and tap, draw a card. Now I did and I did about which Niv-Mizzet to give this spot to. They all have the important combo-centered line of text that lets them draw their entire deck, dealing usually enough damage to kill everyone at the table. Using cards like Curiosity, Ophidian Eye or Tandem Lookout. The important part of these cards is the may draw a card, otherwise we would deck ourselves out. Unless we also happen to have one Lab Maniac out, and can then just win the game that way. but the Firemind just about pushes his scaly neck out above the rest because he doesn't need to do anything to initiate his combo beyond tapping. One needs you to spend an entire whole instant or sorcery, and the other needs you to spend mana. No thank you. Beyond the combo heavy focus, these decks tend to have just an all around good Izzet control shell, and this works wonders for Niv-Mizzet, giving the deck ample time enough to mass enough mana to drop our commander and then protect him while we wait for our opportune moment. Uncounterable counterspells like Counterflux are great for this, as are cards like Teferi, Mage of Zafir, to prevent our opponents from interfering on our turn. Honestly, there's not a lot to say, but that's part of the beauty of him really. A straightforward control commander with a solid and consistent way to win the game. Just what Niv-Mizzet would want, I think. Number 1. Going to hold my hands up and say I've been binging the latest commander casts lately, and hearing those guys talk about winning the game in terms of mana spent, this helped me cement my number 1 choice, because she helps us net way more mana than anyone else in this colour combination. Misuk of the Ismargus is a 2/2 legendary goblin wizard for 2 generic mana, 1 red and 1 blue. She reads, whenever you cast an instance or sorcery with converted mana cost greater than the number of experience counters you have, you get an experience counter. And instance and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 generic less to cast for each experience counter you have. One of the main advantages I love about Misuk is that when we're looking to play our game-winning spells like Expropriate, we still have mana untapped to protect our spell. Misuk is about casting big spells for only a fraction of their costs. How do you like the idea of casting Blatant Thievery for 3 mana? Not good enough? How about Time Stretch for 2 mana? What about an overloaded Cyclonic Rift for just 1 mana? Being able to cast a game-winning cards like these and still have mana left over to protect them from anyone else daring to play control at the same table, but also the ability to utilize our normal turns effectively is what really helps cement Misuk here. I just simply cannot overlook a commander that lets us cast Scour from Existence for free, or Volcanic Vision for simply 2 red mana to grab back our Scour from Existence so we can cast it again for free. Colorless instants and sorceries work so well in this deck, but the deck still needs to win the game somehow. We can't just keep scouring our opponent's boards from Existence, no matter how much fun it is. Now there is the good old bread and butter of make infinite mana and then Blue Sun Zenith or Comet Storm everyone to death, but personally I love going the steely route. Mob Rule, Insurrection or Reigns of Power. Just to say to our opponents, that's a really nice board state you've got there. Be a shame if someone stole it, then killed you with it. Making all our spells cheaper and cheaper as the game goes on is just such great value. Why yes, I would like to cast Stroke of Genius for 1 blue mana and draw 5 cards. How great! This little goblin wizard just has so much power packed into her with the versatility of win conditions and just the ability to net you more and more mana and value than anyone else at the table. And this is why Misuk of the Ismargus is my pick for the best Izzet commander. But what do you think? Do you prefer the Parum or the Firemind? Or the Sphinx to the God? Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe and all that good stuff. You can also follow us on Twitter @4commander. If you really like us, you could consider sponsoring us on Patreon. Links to both are in the description. And as always, we'll see you next time.